to episode 26. I am your host, Jaime, and my co-host is Dave this time around. He said I couldn't do it, so I'm doing it this time. I'm welcoming you guys into episode 26.
And you're already doing a horrible job. You know, the first 5 seconds, you should introduce yourself, your co-host, what you represent, and then you give your co-host a chance to say hi. You didn't even let me say hi.
All right, so here we go. Hello and welcome to episode 26.
There's no redo. Come on, let's roll and go.
No, you
gotta roll with the punches.
Dude, it. All right, all good. Anyways, today's show is gonna be a little bit smaller or shorter than we typically have,
and that's not the result of the host either.
Yeah. Wow. Anyways, back to what we're trying to do here, which is do a show. Anyways, first and foremost, Miguel, I told you I was going to do it, and I did it. So let's get to our first topic. Topic is Golf Club. Xbox or Golf Club has come out for the Xbox One. Dave.
Basically, what Jamie's trying to say is that we previously had a whole episode devoted pretty much to the Golf Club since we were playing on the early access, and now they have fully released on PC and Xbox One. They also said that the PlayStation 4 version is a little delayed because it's not entirely ready yet, but it will be coming out soon.
Yeah, and I got to watch actually a couple of shots of people actually playing the Golf Club. Really wasn't much of a difference between the PC version and the Xbox One version. It already had controller capabilities on the PC side, so there really wasn't much of a change. Graphic-wise, I didn't really notice a difference. It's using the Unity engine, so they're both pretty much mirrored. It's really the same. If you haven't had a chance to actually see the Golf Club, go to our YouTube page, and we have a video up there. I'll actually end up putting it up tonight. So,
and that's actually representative of the beta product. We haven't actually jumped into the retail code, which just was patched out on Steam today. So we are probably going to pop back in there at some point and play a round of golf, just to see how everything's changed, if everything is optimized. I know they fixed a couple of things that I complained about, like whenever you're on the green and you're trying to see how high or low the hole is for you. Before you couldn't see it because your character model would be in the way, which, putting is actually kind of difficult in the game. So not knowing that vital piece of information was kind of crappy. But they fixed it in one of the patch notes that I read probably 2-3 weeks ago. So.
Well, even though we haven't played the new version, would you say it's a pretty good simulation of playing golf? I mean, it's not easy.
I'm thinking it is definitely the toughest golf game out there. It's not saying that it is too hard to play. It's not enjoyable. It is actually fun, and it is a little bit more skill-based as opposed to, like Tiger Woods or Hot Shots and stuff like that, where you're adding spin to your ball after you've already hit it. This is more of a faithful recreation of the game of golf.
And I think they actually did a really good job of recreating the game of golf. I mean, a lot of the Tiger Woods games, it was fun, and it just for me, it kind of lost its luster when you were able to, you've had a lot of these crazy shots that you can put in, and a lot of the stuff wasn't really actually, the physics of the game was just kind of off for me.
It was more of like a semi-arcadey sim kind of thing. It
was.
It used to be a little bit more, to use this comparison, like a Forza, and then it made its transition into like a Need for Speed.
Right. And that would be a good analogy, in regards
especially
to...
if you like card games like me.
But yeah, exactly. And I think Golf Club, the company really wanted to make it as realistic as possible, but at the same time make it fun. And I really think they actually hit it on the head on what they were trying to achieve. Dave and I can both go in there, and again, the last time we played was still in the early access, and all you were doing is playing against his ghost. I mean, he was a live ghost, but he wasn't playing next to you like you saw in Tiger Woods. But it was still enjoyable. They have a lot of tournaments. They have a really good leaderboard based on basically on the different courses that you got there. So it's kind of cool. You can see what like the top person got, and you can actually play up against their ghost to kind of check to see how well you're doing against them, and then you can better yourself at the same time. So that was something enjoyable for me.
An important note going into this is they don't have any licensed courses, because that would increase the price of the development cost, because they had to get the licensing, then they had to go laser scan the course and all that stuff. But they do have a course designer, so I'm sure that people are going to faithfully recreate these courses that are huge, kind of like we already saw a couple in the beta, like Augusta was in there and stuff like that, but you can't use the trademarks and it's not official, but it is pretty close to the thing, at least as far as someone like me. I've never played the course, I'm not really into watching the game of golf that much, but I remember parts of it from Tiger Woods and stuff like that, so it was close, and people are probably going to spend a lot of time trying to make these weird courses like that one we did in beta, where I was just going to mention that. It basically turned into a huge putt-putt course. Like, it was big drops, mountains, and just crazy shots throughout the whole thing. It was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was definitely, it was an interesting course at the way they made it. I mean, think of a real golf course, but they've really made it into more of a putt-putt. You had a lot of these long downhill rolls. I know you're trying to... I caught myself. Dave's having a fit over there.
Well, I'm not the one having a fit. I'm keeping a straight face, and you can't even talk right now.
I know. Anyways, back to what I was saying is that it had long hills, and that the ball would roll down, and you literally just sit there and watch a ball roll for at least a good couple minutes to get down to the putting green area, which was kind of fun. So a lot of people are actually going in and creating a lot of these great courses, besides creating their own, which is fun. And the nice part is that you can actually vote on them and give them like how well you liked it. So there was like from 0 to 10, how well you liked the course or how bad the course was, and it shows how many people have played the courses. So it's all in there. So you really get this mix of everything. And now, mind you, when I'm saying all this is the PC version. I don't know how much of that stuff will transfer over to the Xbox One version.
I believe most of it will, because I didn't see anything in there or news or anything like saying that any of these features are going to be different from version to version, other than the mouse and keyboard support stuff. But I think it probably faithfully made it over.
Yeah, and most of the time we didn't even play the mouse and keyboard version. We played the controller version.
I believe you tried with the mouse right off the bat, and then
I did,
and then you turned away from it.
Yeah, it was kind of wonky at first, but again, they were still working on the swings.
Yeah, that was like
and
an
the
alpha
animations
when we were playing at that point.
Right. So, anyways, that's Golf Club. Go check it out. It's on Xbox One and as well as on PC. So, like I said before, I'll have our video up on our BitLapse YouTube page. So check that out when you get a chance. The new thing as well that just came out today was Diablo 3, the Ultimate Evil Edition. It's come out for the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. I've seen a lot of people pick it up, and there's a lot of people new to Diablo, or just the Diablo series, just because of the fact is Diablo was pretty much just a PC game for many years.
Not really.
Well, I don't remember. There's not one for the console prior to this.
Diablo, the original.
When did I don't remember that.
Yeah,
it
was ready for. It was for PlayStation.
Xbox.
It was on PlayStation, and I believe it was another console too at the time.
Well, it's nice to see that they brought Diablo back to the consoles. I mean, for those who've not been able to play Diablo, this is their first chance of getting in it. And I think this is a really good, Diablo 3 is a really good, the series to come into the console. They've done a lot of work on the games. They've fine-tuned it. They took a lot of the stuff out that, even in the PC, they took out a lot of the auction house stuff that didn't make it in the console version too. So a lot of fine-tuning was done to Diablo 3, and it's going to be a very enjoyable experience for those who've never played Diablo, and hopefully they'll continue to keep supporting the consoles.
Yeah, and it's a strange thing because when Blizzard first was coming out with Diablo 3, a lot of people were like, well, it looks like it could be used on a controller. Why not bring it to console? Like, no, we're not talking about the console. we're not making it for consoles. Which,
Yeah,
everybody was kind of saying, well, it's kind of, just not business-like to just ignore that big fan base there that you could have.
right. Yeah.
Also note that Diablo 3 did come out for Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 a few months ago. This is the newer one. Well, it's not really newer one. It includes the the first add-on pack, and in adventure mode and stuff like that, and it has better graphics. So it's like both me and you are actually on the fence of buying it right now, even though we already own the PC version. So that kind of says a lot, where about the quality of the game, about the replayability, and I think you guys can figure that one out.
Yeah, a lot of it was just because a lot of the other friends that we have, for me anyways, like I was telling you earlier as we were texting back and forth, we've had friends who've never played any Diablo games, so for them it's going to be a new experience, and being able to play with other friends that we've never played or haven't had the chance to play with, it's going to be a fun experience. They're going to enjoy the game, we're going to enjoy the game, we're going to be able to help them out and kind of explain a little bit about the game, and at the same time you're going to get that whole well-rounded feature where you're going to have multiple classes in there, fighting and doing all the different types of bosses that are in the game. And so for me, it's going to be a good, fun experience just to be able to, besides Dave and I being able to play, but be able to have our other friends join us and just have a good time playing with it.
And I'm really looking forward to using a controller to play it, because at the start, when I first bought Diablo 3, I would just I don't want to sit at a keyboard and mouse to do this. No. And that's not saying anything bad about the game. It's just I can see how a controller could work, and I'd rather just kick back, put my feet up, and play the game. It's one of those kind of chill out games where you can just tune out what is, and the story, who cares really about the story and stuff. The music is really good. The cutscenes are awesome. But it's one of those games that you can, I would call it an interactive chat lobby, where you can sit there and just BS with your friends and have fun.
Yeah, and that's going to be, like I said, I think part of it for me was also having those other players play with us. But like you were saying, the accessibility of being able to use a controller, which is going to be nice. The functionality of the game alone allows you to be able just to hold down a button and rapidly fire or swing your sword or fire a bow or what have you. And
then don't forget about the dodge mechanic now too. You can roll.
That's right. You can roll. But at the same time, like you said, it's a huge, just a place to chill out, and, you get other friends involved, and you guys are just having this great chat of just laughing, goofing off, having a good time while playing Diablo 3. Because what you'll understand later on in the game is that you'll end up playing a lot of the levels multiple times, because it's a short, I don't want to say a short game, but it's not really a short game.
But what I do suggest is, if you do buy it, start out on hard. Because that normal difficulty is extremely easy.
And like what I was saying is that you're going to continue to keep playing the levels over and over again. So if you start at a harder level, yeah, it might be a tough at first, but you're going to rank up pretty quick, and so it's going to get a little bit easier. But like I said, hard is just I think that's just the middle of the difficulty levels. I think there's hell, and there's and I can't remember, there's another one, there's above hell. So there's different difficulty levels, and so what happens is the higher you go in difficulties, the better the loot is, the better the sets of armor that you're going to get, or weaponry that you're going to get. So keep all that in mind when you decide if you think you're going to pick up Diablo 3.
And also another benefit is, I do believe that these versions include split screen co-op, which a lot of games don't have anymore. So that could be a huge selling feature for people that have other people that, like their kids or a significant other that they actually like to game with. This could be a cool game to sit down and play.
Yeah, you can have you and your wife, or you and your girlfriend, who's big in gaming. You guys can sit there and play locally. It'll be great. So that's kind of I would say, overall, I think Diablo is going to do very well on the consoles. I think
it has a long tail, like a long sales tail, just because of the name and Blizzard itself. It might hurt a little bit when Destiny come out, but I think it'll be fine.
Well, it's one of those that you can end up coming back to, because look at us, we've gone back to Diablo 3 a couple times. So.
Well, my reason was for the auction house removal and the gameplay updates and stuff like that, which made it a better experience in my opinion. So there was a reason for me to come back. It wasn't going back to the same game. It was like going back to something new and improved.
Right. And I understand, and I agree with going back, and I'm glad they made those changes. That they've needed to get rid of those things. They really really made the game bad.
I wouldn't say made it bad, but
I do.
I don't know. You actually played through it like 3 or 4 times.
Well, I mean, like I said, part of it was I was playing with other friends too at the same time, but the auction house really kind of threw off, not really worthy to actually go out and get and find and go kill bosses and kill enemies, because you could just run to the auction house. People would go farm for money and farm for hours at high levels, or they would find their buddy who's a upper level person and run them through one of the hardest difficulties, and then they were basically getting all this money and going back to the auction house and buying the best gear.
And not to mention all the account hacking for people trying to install bots onto another person's actual account. I had that happen to a coworker where basically they locked him out of his account for like a week, and then when they finally unlocked it back for him, they just like, we're just let you keep most of this stuff. Wow. So it was kind of weird.
Yeah. Well, moving on. EA has basically have confirmed a lot of people that are playing with or interested in buying the NHL 15. Basically came out and confirmed that they will not have the EASHL, which is basically the cooperative play where you could do a 5-on-5.
It's basically where you can create your own team with friends. It's been in every NHL game since NHL 09. It was one of the reasons why we bought 09 and played it together. We've actually talked about this before, and we were eagerly looking forward to getting NHL 15 to form our Team Marbles club that we have in FIFA and try to move it over to NHL. But unfortunately, with this news, that means we're kind of shit out of luck. And unfortunately, EA is now not getting my money.
No, you know what? And part of the reason why I bought the EA Access was because I was probably going to pick up NHL 15. And not only are they taking off that mode, they took out the GM mode, where basically you're a manager. And I don't know how many people played that. I didn't really care for it, but it's not a big loss for me. But again, that's just my preference. It wasn't a mode that I really played at all. But I just don't like it when EA or any development company takes something out just to make something else better. And Dave and I were discussing this before we started recording, and that was that his take on it is like, well, they took it out because they wanted to keep in what's really good, which is their.
It's not that they took it out. You got to remember that they are introducing a new game engine for all these. It's all being on Ignite, which unfortunately means they have to build the game from the ground up. And what I was getting into is that you notice that the Ultimate Team stuff is still in there. And that's because they make money off of it.
And I understand. I mean, that is a big seller. Yeah, and like I said, I understand that that's a big business decision. And I mean, if you think about, what mode that they play a lot of, and that would probably be the biggest one. But I would have thought the second one would have been the cooperative play where you had the 5v5 and you went up against other teams. I mean, in FIFA, I mean, that's besides their what's the other one called? I can't think of it.
There's besides Be a Pro, there's the pro clubs, there's the Ultimate Team.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was talking about, the Ultimate Team. Besides the Ultimate Team as well, the pro clubs is what everybody else ended up playing, because that's what, you try to get your friends and you try to create this 11v11 team so that you would go up against other teams, and you try to rank to the highest
division
there was. Well, and NHL, Dave and I used to play that. God, I think it was 9.
Yeah, that's why I said it was 9. It was 9 was when they first introduced it, and 9 was an amazing game when it came out, and we started playing it, and we actually had a blast.
We did. We were able to go up against other teams. We always were excited to play, and we worked together. And for EA to take that out,
like I said, it's not taking out. It's not good, and it's done in time.
Fine, whatever. Implement it later. I don't care, but I think they should have kept that. But that's just me whining about it, and EA tends to do that to games, and I was kind of bummed because part of the reason why I got the EA access was because I was going to pick up the NHL 15 at a discounted price.
Yeah, we never addressed that. You actually got EA access after I tried to talk you out of it. Unless we talked about... No, we talked only Gamescom stuff last week.
No, we talked it.
So yeah, you still went after I talked you out of it and got EA access, which I gave you crap about. And now how are you feeling about that?
Well, obviously, I mean, they had barely announced it today, so it was something that I didn't know. But
so how much of Battlefield 4 have you played?
I played a little bit of it. I haven't played much, too
Peggle
much
2?
of it, but
How much Peggle 2 have you played?
I haven't played Peggle 2 yet.
Oh.
But I want to play it. How
much Madden have you played?
I did. I actually started my own career for my first player.
I'm saying how much?
About a couple hours.
So in other words, you download them, play them, try them out, and then you'll never go back to them.
No, because like I said, those are games that I can go back to, whether if you're not online or if nobody's else online.
Well, the thing is, you
play my career.
But will you?
Yeah,
and knowing
absolutely.
you probably won't. If it was baseball,
No,
if it was a baseball game, I would believe that you would go back to it.
I used to play a lot of baseball, but no, the football. When I played the Madden 25, I wasn't too thrilled about it. I mean, I wasn't too happy about it. It almost looked like last gen graphics, and the gameplay seemed kind of weird. But that's just because it was a new style. But I'll still play Peggle. I'll still play Battlefield 4. I probably won't pick up the DLC stuff, but I'll play what they gave me. And, because like I said, those are games that I can go back and just repeat and play. I even got back into Plants vs. Zombie Garden Warfare. I played that.
Yeah, but that's not part of the EA Access thing. Now you're just...
It is. It's in there now.
I just
checked today. No, not to the vault. It's just in there for a lower price.
Well, yeah, of course, because you get a I think it was 5%, 10% discount.
10% discount
on all digital games, so that's automatically put in there. But the thing is, it's not included in the vault. That's what I'm trying to say.
No, not in the vault at this present time, but which maybe later on they may add it. But
of course they'll add it a little later, especially with their little free to play hooks that they have in it.
Yeah. Anyways, with EA, just in developers and general, just don't take out good content. I mean,
they didn't take it out. They just didn't have time to actually do it.
Well,
because they actually didn't take it out because it's still on the old generation consoles. 360, PlayStation 3 are still going to have every mode that they had before.
Well, okay, you're right.
We're not getting a full package because they didn't have enough time to develop it, and we're seeing that across all the games for these new platforms, and unfortunately, we're still seeing it even after after release, which kind of sucks.
I guarantee you, and this is just me ranting. People are going to speak loud enough again, and they'll end up bringing it back.
Well, it's not bringing it back.
They'll
get to adding it next year. You get in that mentality that they're taking things away from you, but they're just not getting the time to do it. And unfortunately, the yearly cycle is just not good enough for these games like this. As we've talked about before. There was something else I was going to say about this game. This whole announcement kind of makes me nervous for the WWE game that we're actually looking forward to in October. I know that their press embargo is up. I think it's tomorrow or today as you're listening to this. So I'm interested to see what features are going to make it into the next one. Because not only is this the first WWE game on the next-gen consoles, it is also the first WWE game that has the cooperation of Visual Concepts. So it's Yuke's and Visual Concepts working together to build it, as opposed to last year's, which was basically all Yuke's. It was just that THQ just, folded, and 2K pretty much bought the product that was already being built. So This one's going to be new. The off-screen video stuff that I saw from Gamescom, it looked okay. Like, the character models look amazing, but it comes down to features, especially the online features. If we can't do 4 players and like Hell to Cell and all that fun stuff where we can just get in there and beat the crap out of each other, then guess what? It's going the way of NHL 15, and probably not going to buy it. Well, no, I'm not probably. We're definitely not going to buy it because that's the stuff we're looking forward to, and there's a very high chance that it might not actually make it in because of the whole transition process.
Well, that'll be interesting to see how, it'll be interesting to see why are these, they're not adding these in because of the new engine and they've had to build these from the ground up.
Not enough time. That's
maybe
it's another annual franchise that, please stop doing annual franchises, or at least go the route of Call of Duty, where they've got 3 development houses now.
Different developers.
So they got 2.5 years to actually develop the next game. They got to do something like that, but unfortunately they're not, and there's got to be a solution.
I just think
to
a
that.
lot of. Well, I think this first year, and I don't want to get too far off topic, but I think publishers were just kind of pressured to get games out as soon as they can, and so a lot of, like you said, a lot of these features are just not making it in, just because they're running out of time because they're on a deadline. But besides that, maybe next year, like you said, you had a good point. Maybe they need to add a separate developer to. Excuse me, to rotate the one developer gets 2 years because another developer's making it, so or for the next year. So it would be a good idea to kind of follow in the footsteps of what the Call of Duty developers are doing. So for EA games, or for any sports game anyways, because
yeah, but as we're talking about that, as I'm actually hearing it, it is probably a bad idea, because you also have to remember that each Call of Duty game has a different feel.
Yeah,
based on... Basically, if you look at the Treyarch and the Infinity Ward games, Treyarch always seemed a little bit slower, and then Infinity Ward was kind of fast and loose and stuff like that. And there's a clear difference if you played between the two of them. And I think
now there's 3 of them.
Well, yeah, and that's why a lot of people are saying that this Advanced Warfare, it doesn't play like anything else because it's different. It's a different developer handling it. They're not pressured to make the same game as everybody else. When you do that with sports games, people go into those titles expecting it to be to feel like the last one, unless you're adding new features and stuff. And if they completely change the feel of Madden, that's probably going to be a problem.
Well, and this is what I was thinking, and this has always been in the back of my mind for a long time. They really need to. I would be okay if they came out with a new Madden, FIFA, NHL, because really, what are they actually putting in every year that's gonna make us have to go buy out there? At first,
new rosters.
No, rosters can be updated.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. People are paying $60 for a roster update, and that's the whole joke and stuff. A lot of times these developers say they make a huge feature list, and then they sit at meetings and they have to cross off things that they just can't do in, like, it's not even a year cycle. It's more like 8 or 9 months, really.
Right.
And
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous, but that's, as long as people pay for it every year, this is still going to happen. And unfortunately,
I get it.
Just taking my money away from them obviously hasn't done anything. They're still doing that whole thing. So it's just, it's going to happen no matter what, unfortunately, because people are still going to go out and buy it repeatedly, year after year.
And honestly, I just think they just need to wait, put all the features that we want, stop feeding us little breadcrumbs and dinging us every year for it. And I get it. That is a business aspect, and that's how it works, and that's how they make really good money. And there's a lot of suckers out there, like myself, who end up buying pretty much a yearly new FIFA.
Yeah, speaking of,
now
so
I've kind of back off.
I just got a text from Jay that saying he is going to get FIFA because NHL is not good.
Of course. One of our buddies, he's just a huge.
He's part of the Team Marbles, but yeah, he's just going to get FIFA anyways. Even though I'm like, every other year is good enough for me.
Yeah, and honestly, and I'm with you I'm on board with you.
I'm glad you're finally on board with me.
Yeah, I came to a point in the realization, I think after maybe even last year's, actually 13, and went into 14, there really wasn't any big change. There was nothing all that big of a change. And then in 15, okay, so now the fields start to degrade, and you were saying that there were some upgrades in
they upgraded the Keeper AI, so he has more animations and stuff like that. I don't know.
They're small.
They're small, increments of being upgraded. Yeah. And you know what? We've seen more upgrades. It just, to bring it back to earlier, in the golf club, every 2 weeks we got an update that was like dramatically different. I know it's two different situations. It's not a finished game to one that is, but still.
Right.
It's like, come on, just, like, even the small things that we see are broken usually don't get fixed in FIFA. Right. Like, last gen, it was the whole... Yeah, well, no, because we'll complain about it, and unfortunately it's too late in that development cycle for the next one that they don't get to it, so it has to go to the next year. That's why I try to do the every other year thing, that when they're not getting $60 from me every year.
That makes sense. Just, that irritates me. That's just me. I mean, how they can do that. And like I said, stop giving us breadcrumbs, little bits and pieces of this birthday cake, and either wait 2 years and put all the features and fix anything that's broken and put it all into one FIFA 17 and let us have everything that we wanted in the game and be enjoyable, and wait another couple more years, because people are going to be able playing this game for such a long period of time. They can work on whatever they want to try to make better, fix whatever might be broken.
And then, you know what? Ding us for $30 for a roster update after a year. I'd rather pay $30 than $60,
No,
and then that gives you guys 2 years for development time. And you know what? EA, sign me up. I got some ideas for you. But, with this whole NHL thing moving out of the way, that means that we kind of, like, at least for me, Diablo 3 looks more like a thing I want to buy now, just because it's, spending less money in the month of September and stuff like that. Yeah. Previously, before the NHL thing, I was trying to keep myself busy before Diablo, because it's kind of itchy to get a new game and stuff like that. So, and we did talk about Neverwinter coming to Xbox One in the future. I'm like, you know what? Yeah. Let me try out this game. So it's free to play. I downloaded it. The graphics, I'm like, okay, it doesn't look like a game that just came out a year ago, but let me try it. And I was hooked. Which is crazy for me to say, because I'm traditionally not huge on MMOs, just because of what entails their combat and stuff like that. So when I told you that, I'm like, hey, Neverwinter, I'm digging it.
Yeah, I was. I'm going to cut you off. Didn't mean to cut you off, but I was shocked. I'm like, Neverwinter, what is he talking about? There's no way that he's going to, what's going to happen is that he's going to play it to level 10 and realize he dislikes it. And it's still an MMO that he just can't get into. But we're past level 10. He's enjoying the game.
I'm past level 10 on 2 characters, by the way.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to get rid of one, because you can only have 2 characters unless you start paying money. So I'm not feeling my ranger, so I'm going to delete her.
Yeah. It depends on what your playstyle is and the way that they do the combat.
She's very underpowered, despite what people are saying in the chats. They're saying that she's OP, but I have a hard time just fighting by myself.
My Guardian fighter, I think he's way OP. I can sit there for days and take hits for
we'll let you do a dungeon by yourself.
I can probably hold pretty well in a dungeon by myself. Not that I'm saying I should.
Well, I'm sure your character can handle that. I'm not entirely sure that you could.
Oh, maybe we'll try it sometime. Point being, game is good. I actually was streaming it, and I was gonna put it up, and we got so involved in the game and so much playing and enjoying with all of us. It was just me, Dave, Kyle, and my son Jason. We were all playing, and all of a sudden, I saw the time, and it was 3 hours later. I'm like, holy cow! I didn't know that we were that. I didn't know I was still streaming for that long. So I ended up cutting it off, and I thought I'd be able to try to put it up on after my stream, put it up on our YouTube page, and it laughed at me.
A kind of a key indicator was that your son Jason was reluctant to play it at first. He was looking up videos and stuff. He's like, this looks like hot garbage. And eventually he tried it last night, and he played for like 4 hours straight. And he's like, you know what? This is actually pretty fun. And it, like I said, it doesn't look that great, but all the mechanics are just, if the combat's fun. The quest system is not bad, because like the areas aren't huge, so you're not going like across a world just to get to another collectathon thing where you're just sitting there waiting for something else to spawn. Odds are you're just taking probably 50 steps and then you're in that area. Everything is voice acted, for the good or the bad, but it's got a lot of ties with the dungeon and like D&D roots of that series of Neverwinter, and which is kind of cool, because the classes upgrade in different ways, and the races have their own race specific quests and all that fun stuff. And there are human created quests, which we started doing last night with, like, me and Jason were trying to do last night. It was something weird going on already. Unfortunately, the game crashed on my PC, so I got kicked out of it. But Jason was able to finish it, and he said, like, this quest just took a turn for... It's just hilarious. But I don't know if we actually get anything for those. I haven't been able to talk to Jason today to see what actually happens when you finish a human-created quest, but it'd be interesting to see. But other than that, I'm actually enjoying it.
Yeah. Now, keep in mind, it's not what's kind of a little bit different in regards to questing is that they have what are called, or what I'm used to calling them as mini instances. So they're not bosses, but there's mini bosses, but you go into these instances, but which are part of your quest. So it's not like you pick up a quest and then you walk down the street, a couple of feet, and you go pick up 10 different things. Some of those things are in there, but a lot of the other quests are these little mini quests that you end up in these instances, and you have to go in and find these little mini bosses, which is part of the storyline, and you kill these mini bosses, and then you get out and you turn in this quest. So it really kind of makes it a little bit different in just going from point A to point B, fighting 10 of these, picking up 6 of these, or what have you. So that's kind of a nice twist for me, because I'm used to playing the normal MMO games where you go 10 of these, 12 of these, and then you get to level 20, and then you get your first dungeon. Well, our first dungeon is level 14, and now we've just hit it, and we're waiting to actually do that as a group. But that's kind of the difference in Neverwinter. So it's not the whole grinding feel of that game, and I think that's what kind of turns Dave onto this type of game, because it's not that whole feeling.
It's, for me, like, I kind of figured some more of it out. Like, it's hard for me to put into words, like, how I feel about MMOs and why it doesn't resonate with me. And I think this one, like this old saying, it's about the journey and not the destination.
True.
And for you, when you get into these games, you're already thinking about the dungeons and the end game. Yeah. And when I'm coming in, I'm like, well, if the road to get to those things is not fun, I'm not going to do it. I need something to pull me through there. Like we've talked before, I can play through a bad gameplay game if it has an awesome story. And, vice versa. If it's great gameplay, I can play through an awful story.
Right.
So it's just, if there's none of those there for me, like for WoW, I don't like the journey of it.
Right.
And the story, I could care less. There's really no drive.
Get lost in the story.
Yeah, well, it depends. You could take it seriously, or you could just like, no. And for me, you talk to so many NPCs that it's hard to take anything seriously in that game. And it's always just clicking to pick up quests. But it's just like, if I don't have that pushing force for me to want to do more of it, whether to be play the combat because it's fun, or to see what happens in the story, then I feel like I'm wasting my time.
I understand. Like I said, it's not for everybody. And I just, what kind of always has hooked me for MMOs is just... And it's a big deal for me because it irritates you, and that's getting new weapons and getting new armor.
I love getting that too, but it's just I don't spend 20 minutes looking at my inventory screen.
Right, and I can sit there and I'm like, oh well, and then I can sit there and play the whole decision game. Well, okay, what am I trying to achieve? And I go back and forth in my head. Do I want this armor, or wait, this armor's better? It has a little bit less of this, but what am I totally trying to achieve? And I literally do this in my head. And
no, you don't do it in the head. You don't do it in your head.
Because I do.
You're a mouth talker. Like even like I noticed when you're streaming, I think it was Arcage. The other day, you're reading stuff on screen and you have your camera up, and I just see your lips moving the entire time. I'm like, he's a mouth reader. It's just, and that's just habit. The way you are.
Yeah, I think I do that. And actually, even when I read a book or something, I'm moving my lips instead of just sitting there looking and reading the words in my head. But I don't know. I guess I'm just that animated in that way.
Weird.
But anyways, it's a great game, guys. Go check it out. If you haven't seen it yet, you can get it on Steam. It's free to play, or you can go to their website, the Neverwinter website.
It's playneverwinter.com. Also of note is, like, the free-to-play stuff, they don't really throw the money portions in your face too much. There's the chests that are, like, you might get an epic mount, where you might have to go buy a key for, like, I think they're like $1.25. The key would equate to real money.
Right.
There's other things like you might open a chest where they give you a discount on a booster, but I haven't felt the need to have to buy anything.
No, and I don't think they've pushed it. I mean, overall, I mean, we've gone from 0 to 14 and not felt like we were losing out on any of the stuff that we needed to get or anything like that. So I didn't feel like we were losing any content overall. So
No, I honestly don't think we're losing any content at all. It's just, the epic mounts, anything that might be like better equipment, maybe better looking equipment, but it seems like they have a very solid system in place.
So that was it. With Neverwinter, go out, check it out, see if you guys like it. It's a fun game. So
And when it eventually comes out to Xbox One, I strongly suggest you guys try it out.
Yeah, it'll definitely be fun. So, but I think we're done, Dave. I know my being in charge or taking control of this episode was poor. I would give it a poor or below average.
I wouldn't say you ever took charge. I'm still in charge.
Well, I try to host and move us forward throughout our different topics and end this. So, I will do better next time. I will work on being in charge of the show.
If there is a next time.
Hey,
I think we should have. When Kyle gets on here, we'll have a contest. See who the better host is. We'll have viewers listen to me. Listeners vote on who is the better host between you and Kyle. Sure. I'm not going to include me in there because that would just be a dead ringer.
Other thing before we close this out, I just wanted to thank all our viewers for going to our BitLapse YouTube page and actually watching our videos. We do take a lot of time and put these together and get together and
I'm interrupting you because it's not we that's doing it. It is mainly you.
Well, I mean,
I'm giving credit where credit is due.
I understand it, but overall, as a group, we are a group. We do play these and we do stream these. So, yeah, I do the editing and I do all the back work behind it. But again, I want to thank you viewers to actually going out and watching these videos and giving us thumbs up and subscribing to our BitLapse page. So thank you again for that. And we'll continue to bring videos out for you guys.
And always don't forget, you can get at us on Twitter. I'm at David2Sly.
And I'm at Jaime S7474.
And don't forget to check out bitlapse.com where you can watch some of these videos because we do up the page. There's a YouTube link all the way at the bottom.
Well, from there, then we shall wrap this up. So we'll close this out. Thanks again. This is episode 26.
See ya.